Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel. I wanted to say a few more words in regards to the video I made just a few days ago talking about what you can expect from the channel in the new year. And the basic premise of that, the basic point was that we need the aspirational hero now more than ever. You know, as I said in that video, I predicated my channel on that. I mean, that's a big part of it, what I was here for. And I really think this year, if we're going to survive, I mean, if we're going to survive individually, psychologically, get through this, if we're going to survive as a society, as a culture, it has to be the year of the aspirational hero. We really need to do all we can to stand up for that. And what does that mean, though? So I wanted to give some concrete details with some examples from the past. The idea for this started when I was thinking about possibly doing a video, which I still believe I'm going to do, talking about how, you know, Star Wars came out in 1977 and Superman the movie, 78. Right there, you know, within the space of, no more than a year apart, not even that, you had two of the most iconic aspirational heroes of our culture, of our society, take to the screen and really impact culture in a profound way. Of course, we know Superman had been around long before that, but that Christopher Reeve's iteration of Superman, just blew people away, and it really did affect the culture, and as I said, in a very profound way. Now, we had other heroes, of course, other archetypes were out there at any given time. You need other archetypes as well. You can't just survive off of that paragon aspirational hero, but they affected the culture in a way that we knew that was sacred. You know, that I mean sacred in a sense that not necessarily religious, but sacred as a mythological character should be sacred in terms of its usage. That aspirational hero, if you're going to tell a story about a true blue good guy, you couldn't ask for a better story or a better representation of that than Luke Skywalker in all of the Star Wars original trilogy, or Superman from really all the Reeves films, even though the quality of the storytelling, you know, all that kind of nonsense, you know, eventually kind of declined in the films. That was it. So you could have Rambo, you could have, you know, all these other kinds of heroes and stuff like that and archetypes, but you never would have thought, it would have been unthinkable to try to deconstruct such a precious thing like an aspirational paragon, like a Luke Skywalker or like a Superman. That would have been unthinkable, and it wasn't done at all. Even in the 90s, when you had a real push, you know, late 80s, 90s, when you had this real push for grittier, darker content in comic books and movies, you know, heroes and stuff like that, you still, for the most part, you still didn't see people trying to deconstruct the precious few aspirational heroes that we already had. You know, that there never would have been any of this nonsense about, trying to make Luke an old man hermit or Superman, some whiny Hamlet guy, you know, who lets people die and stuff like that and cries a lot. That would have been unthinkable. Even when the popular thing was to have darker, grittier heroes, there was still an understanding on some level that we need those precious few aspirational ones. We need them there. We need them untouched. If you want to glory in and spend all your time with the cathartic motivational and other archetypes, you know, who are a little more realistic and stuff like that, fine. But you need those aspirational ones intact. We never would have had the 2002 Spider-Man film if it wasn't for Superman. I mean, that's a great example because Raimi's in Spider-Man, that first Spider-Man movie with Raimi, he pays tribute left and right to the Superman the movie, the first film. And that's probably because, I mean, he was a fan and everything like that, but he also, on some level, had to understand that a character like Spider-Man only works if he has heroes that he's trying to be like. Now, of course, Superman's not in the Marvel universe, but if you read Spider-Man comics that are written well, that actually have the character done well in mind, then he's always trying to be like Captain America or these other heroes that he sees who are more of the aspirational cut. So we needed those heroes. We needed them in place. Now what we've seen ever since the last decade is that just blatant disregard. A blatant disregard to the point where it seems like it's almost a certain contingent of people's mission to tear down the aspirational heroes. You know, it started with Man of Steel. You know, with as far as these big two characters that I'm talking about, certainly started with Man of Steel. bulldozed through all of those Snyder films, and then we saw what Disney did with Luke and whatnot. So, what can we do concretely this year to try to stand up for the aspirational heroes, to try to reclaim, the purity of the heroes that we have, but to try to stand up for more heroes in our culture, more aspirational heroes, more of that aspirational hero inspiration in our culture? Well, one thing is obvious. We need to create more on our own. We've had the technology and the marketing ability, with the internet and everything like that, and the different platforms for a long time to do this. But what's different now is that a lot of the other systems that were just kind of the go-to, Hollywood, the big two, publishing, comics and stuff like that, they're just falling off. They've really lost so much power because of everything that's going on in the world. And it's gotten to the point where it's much more realistic now. Whether it's a book, whether it's even a movie, people are independent creators, are able to fund and to put their stuff out there. And if we try to push some of that aspirational hero out there, that's great stuff. That's a good way to do it. And if not necessarily a story about a specific paragon aspirational hero, at least a story that honors aspirational heroism, doesn't push this nihilistic worldview. Because not everybody's writing superhero stories, and that's understandable. But that's the first thing. So we need to create. Second thing we need to do is going to be much trickier. And this is something that a lot of people, they don't want to hear it. They do not want to hear it. We have to stay true to our boundaries. We have to draw this line and say absolutely not. And we can't be lured into complacency. That's what we can't do. So I'll give you an example, 2 examples actually, from Superman and Luke Skywalker. First, let's look at Superman. Okay, when Superman Man of Steel came out and completely deconstructed the character of Superman, that's not who that character is. It was like a gut punch to me personally, because Superman's one of the precious few aspirational heroes, as I said, and he's a character who, when something happens to you, when a great injustice is done to you, you can go to a character like Superman and say, how should I respond? Now, you yourself as a human aren't going to respond perfectly. We're not perfect, and we're going to fail. We're going to act out in anger sometimes, this and that. We're going to struggle. But Superman was always a character, or like He-Man, or like Optimus Prime, even in the old cartoons and stuff like that. They would show us how real heroes should respond and how to be a true hero, not to be selfish, not to act out of anger. Or the dark side, Luke Skywalker, you can't act out of fear and anger. You have to be selfless, not selfish. And out of all the characters in the world that they had, that the storytellers had, to experiment with and to show a more realistic reaction to the world, why did Zack Snyder have to take Superman, the precious one aspirational hero we had, and try to drag him down just like everybody else, and show his real struggle and make it more realistic, and just pull that aspirational hero right off of the pedestal, and in a result, pulled that standard down. That's what I've been saying on my channel forever. Pulled that standard away from us. We no longer had it. Okay, so we fought. We fought. Me and like-minded Superman fans fought, and was a constant thorn in Warner Brothers' side and in Zack Snyder's side. I mean, I know for a fact that I don't know how much my endeavors, with different pages and different movements and petitions and stuff like that I had started. I don't know how much specifically they changed things, but I know that Snyder himself was even aware of some of the things I was doing, So I know that the fans in general standing up for iconic content made a difference. We eventually saw Warner Brothers trying to turn away from that. But here's where we fell. Here's where the fandom in general failed. They didn't keep demanding. They didn't keep their wallets shut, and they didn't keep demanding. Or I don't want to say wallets shut, because it doesn't necessarily have to mean boycotting and never, that's not necessarily it. We didn't continue to demand the iconic Superman no matter what. And the iconic Superman is not a character called Superman who suddenly shows up in the Justice League movie, and it suddenly is just, everybody just pretends that he's always been the real deal Superman. No, that's not it. Some people were completely satiated with that. And they're like, great, that's good, okay, we got it back now. No, you didn't. They're still pushing this continuity in which the whole events of Man of Steel and Batman v Superman happened and all this nonsense. But some people they fell off right there automatically. They were just completely happy with that. Great, we got it, we won. Then you had Warner Brothers putting out movies like Aquaman or Shazam, And then you had a lot more people. Great, this is great. We won. Let's give them. Let's go back to it. It's great. You know, everything's fixed now. What is fixed? Everybody keeps telling me to think about these companies, their businesses. They're businesses. You got to know how they act, how a business acts. Okay, let's think about how a business acts. If Warner Brothers lost all of this support from iconic superhero fans, and then suddenly all of those fans, or a majority of those fans, come back when they make movies like Aquaman or Shazam, which aren't proper tellings of the characters either. They're not. They might be a lighter tone and people might have enjoyed them or whatever, but they're not the true blue heroes of the comics. They just happen to be more kind of secondary characters, so a lot of people don't realize that, and there wasn't as strong of a visceral reaction to their monkeying with the characters. But if people are already coming back for those movies, what incentive does a business have to continue to retool their universe, to retcon, to start from scratch, and to do a real iconic representation of these characters? Why would they do that and risk losing what fans they did get from the Snyder movie? Why would they have to do that if they've already got your money back, if they've already got you back for things like Wonder Woman or Aquaman or Shazam and stuff like that? You've lost all your power. You no longer have a voice. They don't care. And as a result, what do we got? We've got Snyder Cut garbage happening on HBO. It's Superman is in the hands of Abrams now? Seriously, Abrams? Did anybody at Warner Brothers learn anything at all from all of this? And I think we could have had a more decisive, true return to an iconic Superman victory if people had remained true to the fight and stopped just being lulled aside and lulled into complacency by, oh, yay, they gave us this shiny thing. I'm happy now. Here's my money. Now we're seeing the same thing happen with Star Wars. I've been making this argument for a long time. This is just an attempt to lull you into complacency. Disney loves the fact that people are flipping out about The Mandalorian and this and that. They completely have their cake and eat it too. I saw there was a Twitter image, an image somebody captured from Twitter after the big moment when Luke Skywalker comes back in on the Mandalorian season finale, and they were treating him as an iconic figure and stuff like that. Don't worry about the continuity and what he does afterwards and all that. Shh, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. No one wants to think about that. So someone screenshotted an image on Twitter where somebody who was like a big fan of the Disney sequel trilogy and stuff posted images of Luke Skywalker and the Mandalorian and said, "This is so amazing. This fits perfectly within the arc that Disney has for Luke Skywalker." And then they showed Luke, Hermit Luke, grumpy on the island there. Wanting nothing to do with the Jedi. They were thinking, this is great. So, you as a Star Wars fan might be saying, this is wonderful, we won. No, Disney fans are thrilled about this too because they see that Luke becoming Hermit Luke and Jake Skywalker in The Last Jedi. They see that happening. So we posted that. We posted that in places to try and get people to see, look, this is not any decisive victory. It's just keeping you happy in this one little area while they continue to do whatever they want with the characters and keeping this continuity. And people immediately started posting, I don't think that's true at all. That's not true at all. That's not what's going to happen. This is going to happen. And right there in that moment, I said, this is a perfect snapshot. This is how Disney has their cake right now and is eating it too. They've got easily 10 or 15 years worth of just being able to maybe let Favreau just tell his little stories right there in that sort of little pocket of the continuity. And people are going to continue to circulate rumors and keep their little fingers crossed, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen. They're going to do they're going to bring the EU in, guys, and they're going to retcon the sequel trilogy. Why on earth would Disney ever think of retconning the sequel trilogy? What incentive do they have? They already have the fandom menace. They already have their money. They're back in Disney's pocket right now. They're back with Disney. No matter what, they're going to be there for successive seasons of Mandalorian and anything else Favreau might put a hand to in that time period of the continuity. And at the same time, some of these shows that they're releasing on Disney Plus, we know one of them in particular, I forget the name of it, Rogue Squadron or something like that, is going to take place after the sequel trilogy continuity. They're not giving up on Kathleen Kennedy's vision. They're not giving up on the sequel trilogy continuity and what they did to this wonderful, beloved franchise. They're not giving up on it in a heartbeat. And why should they? As a business, what incentive do they have? Because they've already got everybody who was boycotting, Solo and didn't want anything to do with Disney trilogy nonsense. They've got your money now. There's no conditions. There's no conditions whatsoever. You turned over your money in a heartbeat. You turned over not just money, but all of your praise and all of your hurrahs on the internet. Disney saved. They've got you. why in the world would they actually retcon the sequel trilogy? As long as you think they will, and as long as everybody who's a fan of the sequel trilogy knows they won't. I mean, if they retcon the sequel trilogy, they'd lose that chunk of money, which isn't as much, obviously, but it's still a chunk. If they're a business and they run like a business, why would they do any of this stuff? So that's the hard thing. So the first thing we need to do to fight for aspirational heroes is to create our own. Stop being so dependent on Hollywood. Stop being so dependent on big publishing and stuff like that. Make our own so that we're not dependent on those. And then the second thing is to stop being so easily lulled into complacency. Stop being so easily bought off. You know, if you stand up for a return and a complete and total cut away from this nonsense continuity and burn it, start it over, you know, whatever. If that's what you're fighting for, if that's what you're fighting for, these true blue heroes, don't just be easily bought off and easily happy, you know, made happy. It's just like, you know, it's the example I always get. They're just throwing you a bone. Here, be happy with that bone. Shut up your yapping while we go do what we want to do. You know, we saw it with Warner Brothers. We're seeing it now with Disney. And it's not too late, but it is a shame that we aren't going to have a real deal. You know, we're not going to have somebody like a Brad Bird or somebody like that work on a Superman film who really, you know, we're really going to get what we want. I mean, Abrams, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Abrams already tried to work on a Superman film before. Cavill was even cast at it, and it was going to be nonsense. Abrams just completely rewrote Superman's origin, just had this ridiculous, the character wasn't even remotely recognizable. You can go look that up. I forget exactly what it's called. But yeah, look up Abrams and Superman and previous attempts that he's made at the character and whatnot. We wouldn't have to be in this place right now if people weren't so easily lulled away and lulled to sleep and just, you know, into complacency with the nonsense that Warner Brothers gave us. You know, here, but Aquaman's really good. You should try it. You can't be negative all the time. No, you can stand up for what you want and stop taking the little payoffs. Stop removing any incentive that they have to truly give you what you want in the long run because, you know, this little appetizer looks pretty shiny or whatever, you know. So, if that's enough mixed metaphors for one conversation. So that's as a follow-up to the last video I made, I wanted to say that these are concrete things we should do. It's not going to be easy. People are going to fight me on this. They're going to fight you on this if you ever dare tell them because, oh, don't dare take this away from them. And they'll have all of these arguments why, no, it's all fixed now and you need to do this if this is going to happen. None of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. So those are the two things. And then in the meantime, as I've said in the last one, we need to go back to the wonderful stories we've had. It's so hard for some people just to accept that maybe they're not going to get, maybe they shouldn't keep partaking of whatever new dish is offered under the guise of their franchise. Why is that so hard? I don't understand when you've got all of these wonderful stories, whether it's comic books and Superman, whether it's the Star Wars EU, you know, you have a large, just huge body of work that does respect these characters, that does respect the aspirational hero archetype and who they're supposed to be. And some people aren't happy with that because they don't really want the hero. They want, as I've said before, that fandom addiction. They're just addicted to the buzz and to the, you know, everybody excited about it at the same time and tweeting about it the next day and all that kind of stuff. And that's something to fight too. So that's all for now. I will come back soon with the video I got planned on really examining, you know, it might probably be a multi-parter, examining Star Wars, you know, in 77 and Superman in 78 and what was going on culturally at that time, why everything was just poised to give us those aspirational heroes and why they did just continue to impact the culture so profoundly. And I think why we saw just the dam broke and people suddenly felt like they were just completely justified in deconstructing and pulling down these heroes in the last decade. So I'll be working on that. And as I said in the last video, I'll continue to, you know, bring up some reviews of certain things, you know. So I do have a Superman review coming. I showed you Superman Kryptonite the last time. I'll get around to a solid review of that, but I'll probably do another title first just to give people who are looking for more titles. They've already got that name at least on their list, but we can do give you another one as well. So that, and I won't just stick with Superman and Luke Skywalker, of course. They're just the most iconic aspirational heroes we have, but I will look at other wonderfully told, proper handlings of these heroes in stories, even if it's not the aspirational paragon necessarily, stories that, like I said before, at least honor that and respect that. Like a Spider-Man story that has a cathartic motivational hero striving toward that. Yeah, it's wonderful. So that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the hero stories you love.